for me, PBD Podcasts. On PBD Podcasts, we're shooting the shit, talking shit. We're doing current events, whatever we're talking. We'll talk about a bunch of different things, right? And just a couple boys, guys sitting down talking. Hey, today this happened, let's talk about this. Today this happened, we'll give it our opinions, right? And you're a family guy. You got 3 girls. I'm family. I got 4 kids. And, of course, you have to kind of figure out the future and, where the future is going to go. In your gym, I think you got a flag in your gym, right? Don't you have like a big flag in your gym?
Keep an American flag everywhere I go.
Right. Everywhere you go, there's always an American flag. And you're a patriotic guy. You're a guy that loves this country. You have a military following. You have guys that look at you from that standpoint. And today, America's a little bit kind of weird. Politically, we're in a very weird place right now in America. From the left to the right and the divisiveness the last 4 years, I feel like politics has always been nasty and ugly. But in 2001, you went and spoke at the RNC. It wasn't crazy. You just spoke, boom, out. Hey, DNC, boom, boom, boom. You've done a couple of these things. But the last 4 years, nasty. Today, election, nasty. Assassination attempt, 7 weeks ago, July 13. I don't know what today's date is. Today's what, September 7th? Just 7, 8 weeks ago, right? And your name is always on the Vegas odds of running for president, always. And you'll see it, 40 to 1, 100 to 1, 80 to 1, all these other things, right? And you're looking at this, and I have my own people on the list on who I think will be running 32. But how do you look at this as a guy that has been in a lot of boardrooms? You're dealing with REs, right? You're dealing with, no, we don't want to pay this, no, we don't want to do this, and then they negotiate the contract, and then you have to do the movie, and the people that may be overpaid or underpaid or whatever they do, you still have to figure out a way to get along with them. You've been in a lot of tough meetings behind closed doors that nobody knows about. It's not been written about, but you've been in it. And you have to find a way to do this, right? You have to find a way to do this to the 2 parties. If The Rock's president today, how do you figure out a way to synergize and bring back America to being united instead of a little bit divided that we are today?
I think that, well, first of all, let me just say, when it comes to stuff like this, I never speak declaratively. I'm always open and flexible, and I think you got to be that. When it comes to the divisiveness you talked about, it's the main thing that really eats away at my gut. I know you too. We've talked about this, and I know for a lot of you as well. I think I always like to say, keep the main thing the main thing. And if the main thing is to bring our country together, for anyone in the presidential leadership space, there's a few things I think that are important, and I'm going to take a crack at this, is for unity, I'll start with guidance. And what I mean by that is the ability to listen and pay attention to everything and everyone around you, regardless of where they're at and where they sit on whatever side of the aisle or other side of the fence. The other thing I think would be grit, because I feel like if the goal is unity, amidst this crazy division that we have today, that we can all agree on, and if the goal is this, as you said, bring everybody together, there's going to be a lot of bumps in that road. And there's going to be a lot of people who are cynical about this idea and this ideology of bringing people together as one. Never going to happen. They'll have their knives out. So I feel like as you go down that road, if that's your goal, is to bring people together, you got to have a lot of grit to get through all those knives and all those bumps. But it can be done. I believe that. The other thing would be, I think, humility, in that you're probably not going to know all the answers to these questions, and that's okay. And I always like to say, and I know you guys feel this way in the room too, look, like just because something's never been done doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means we haven't figured out a way to do it yet. Doesn't make it impossible. So I would say humility and strength. Got to have strength. to stand up in the face of this kind of adversity and to stand up and say, it is that time to bring everybody together. Oh, and I'll say one more thing too. I think you got to be positive. I think it's important. Positivity, I think, is important. And be good to people.
Do you think that should be the goal? Do you think the goal should be unity? Do you think that should be the goal? Because I like the way you said it. You said, if that's the goal, right? So maybe that's like, you almost like my parents. When I was a kid, my parents got divorced twice to each other, right? Since 11 years old, when the divorce papers came into the house, it was a very difficult 6 months. Mother crying every day, which is tough, right? Like, oh man, you know, my dad would always, when he would come home, we had a class in Iran, Khiyaban Hojat in Iran, and we were on the 4th floor, and the moment I would see my dad's head go like this, I knew he's home. I'd run up. It was the happiest moment of my day. And at 11 years old, I realized that's never going to happen ever again. And my entire goal as a kid, young boy, was what can I do to get these guys to come together? No joke. By the time I was 16 years old, I said, that's no longer the goal. It's just never going to happen. And I stopped trying at 16. They're better off not being together. And you have to find a way to coexist in these two different philosophies that's out there. My dad, on one end, looked at the world in a completely different way than my mother did. Do you think progress for us to get to the next level is try to unify, or do you think you have to find a way to lead and have policies in a chaotic environment? What do you think?
I think the key is, before unity, is the desire and the openness to listen to each other. And it's okay if you have a difference of opinion. That's okay. It's okay because ultimately I do feel like we're all looking towards the same North Star. So whoever that leader is and becomes for us, whoever the president is, I'd like to think and hope that they can hold that same North Star for all parties and all people, and how important that is. So I think probably the path to unifying is the openness to conversation. Like if you bring up 01, I think it was, or 2000 with the RNC, even back then. So even say 10 years ago, you can have a conversation about, oh, I voted for this person, I voted for this, oh, okay. Today, nothing.
No way.
You cannot do that.
Especially in your world.
Sure.
I would say in your world is probably the highest score out of everybody.
Yeah.
Would you agree, like in Hollywood, in a celebrity, for you to come out and say, here's who I'm voting for?
Yes.
That could be catastrophic for your career.
Yes.
Okay.
If there's one thing you're going to get from this interview with The Rock and I, we both love America. We had 2 big flags at our event. He's got a flag in his gym and everywhere he goes. This is the USA gear, limited edition for the rest of the year. If you love America, sport this USA gear. On the side, it says Future Looks Bright. On the back, it says Valuetainment. On the side, it's got the American flag. We got the shirts. We got the flip-flops. These are the only flip-flops I wear when I'm at the house and walking the dogs. It feels amazing with the gel in it. So if you love America, if you believe the future looks bright, if you love Valuetainment, click on the link above or below. Go wear some of the gear and tag us because we share the pictures on the podcast all the time. So go to vtmerch.com and place your order.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.